Here's to you, America. All right. I have a very specific topic to discuss today. Bear with me. I stutter a bit and I clear my throat a lot, so I'm not the best public speaker. Notice my shirt says that I'm essential as fuck. I'm deemed non-essential during this the lockdown. I'm a tattoo artist, and while previously sectored with hairstylists, salons, barbers, that genre of business, during the original lockdown, once they started opening things up, they decided to no longer classify us as tattoo artists, tattoo shops, as that form of business. They decided to classify us as sex workers. Okay, same as strip clubs, massage parlors, those associated type businesses. They put us in that category and deemed us completely non-essential. Governor Abbott then, of course, also said that sole proprietors are allowed to return to business, which I feel like he's kind of saving his own ass by allowing loopholes. It still gives the authorities the ability to harass us in a sense, even though they now have been deemed not allowed to arrest us. There's loopholes. I feel like politically, the Republican Party is playing its games the way it has to, but loopholes are loopholes. I don't know. I'm a sole proprietor. I haven't stopped working a single day since this lockdown. I'm not going to, and my family and food in my daughter's mouth, my wife's mouth, and my mouth is essential. I'm not going to claim government assistance, which I don't even qualify for, and I'm not going to be a mooch. I'm a grown man that can go to work, and I'm gonna go to work every single day that I can. So, that being said, I'm gonna move on to my theory, okay? Now, my theory is completely self-developed, and it could be completely retarded. However, I don't think it is, and I think there's a lot of things that have been leading up to me being correct. And I've seldom been wrong about this kind of stuff in the past, and I feel like I'll share it with you. This is probably gonna produce a lot of hate for me on the internet, and especially within my own industry, and from the majority of people that already hate on me all the time anyways. So you should appreciate this. This is my theory of what's actually going on right now. Now, I'm not talking about just the pandemic. I'm not talking about just the political parties. I'm not talking about just Trump or just Obama or just Biden or any of that. I'm talking about everything that's going on. This is my thought, conspiracy maybe. I don't think it's a conspiracy because there's a lot of things leading to it being truth. It's definitely a conspiracy in the narrative that the media is telling us 100% truth, which I 100% don't believe. This is my theory on what's going on worldwide and all of the problems that we're seeing right now. Now, I know that some of you aren't going to think that these are problems. I personally believe they're problems. I think that those that don't see them as problems now, if it continues on this path, will suffer awful things under the pretense "if I told you so" years down the road, and maybe not even years, maybe even closer than that. I think that if Trump were to lose this current election, we would be in a world of hurt, and maybe a lot of people's feelings would be in a world of hurt if he wins. But his job isn't to make everybody feel fucking special all the time. His job is not to not offend people. His job is to run this country, which he has done a damn good job of. So, that being said, I'll move on to, I made a list so that I don't hit a lot of rabbit trails and get lost, because that does happen to me. I've been hit in the head a lot. That might explain this whole theory, but we'll see what you have to say. I think that if you are a person that comes to a certain level of wealth, and by a certain level, I don't mean like a couple of $1 million. I mean, we're talking like the hundreds of millions. the billions, maybe, but maybe not even that. Maybe just the hundreds of millions and upwards of that. But especially the billions. I think that if you hit the billionaire range, you are 100% in the category I'm about to speak on my opinion of. I believe that there is a secret society of wealth, okay? The global elitist. I think that they are above government, any country, any state. I think that the billionaires of the world have a secret society, okay? I think that the majority of the world leaders, presidents, prime ministers, etc., are funded and controlled by these elitists. Money runs everything. You can always say it. Follow the fucking money. It's just too apparent, right? These politicians and the leaders are just funded millions and millions and billions of dollars, and for what? And from who? It's not the little fundraisers. It's not the text you get that says support your fucking Democratic Party or support your Republican Party. Throw us $5 at a time. It's not that. Those little bits of support are so minuscule in the comparison to the amount of money funded to these politicians by these billionaires so that they can have political control, because the person giving them all the money controls the puppet, okay? Trump is a self-made man, all right? You can hate him all you want. You can call him misogynist, you can call him racist, you can call him all those things. He's not. He's just a realist. He says what everybody needs to fucking hear, but everybody's too offended, all right? Over the previous 8 years of administration, our society was completely weakened by the Obama administration. It was a promotion of weakness, okay? Trump saw that. Trump didn't decide to come in and decide that you all needed to not be offended, because the idea of not offending somebody else means there's a 100% lack of accountability. And the number one thing we need back in this country and back in this world is accountability, is holding your fellow man accountable for his actions, whether it offends him or not. Anyhow, Trump's self-made, right? He has his own money. He doesn't need it. He's not funded by anybody else. He's not a politician. He's just a guy. He's probably an asshole sometimes. He's probably good-hearted sometimes. That doesn't matter. He's doing a great job of running this country. So I think that when the proposal came for him to be a part of this elitist secret society, he refused. He refused, and he refused specifically because he did not want to be a part of their evil. Now, I believe that this society, on so many levels, is evil. I don't necessarily go down that QAnon rabbit hole. I've intentionally not read into a lot of that because I feel like if I start researching, I'm going to go too deep and I'm not going to ever sleep anymore. And I'm already running on low sleep all the time. So I just try not to read too deep into that because that stuff goes real deep. But on a few simple topics of the evil I think that they primarily promote and want to control is a one world order, is the idea of everybody being under the same type of control that they all have control of, okay? The next thing is child trafficking. The numbers are just too fucking wild, and there's just no resolution. It's obvious that there's children being missing daily. I mean, there's so many, it's unbelievable. I think that leads into a pedophilia ring of some form. We've seen too much evidence going in that direction. I think it's possible that there are other ways of harvesting of children and just such evil and disgusting things. I found a search tool that was a link to a essentially child sexual catalog, and I posted it as a warning to all the fathers and mothers to be like, just so you know, this is the disgusting shit that's in our world. Please make it a point to help protect our children based on this. And within 24 hours, that post, which was not anything to anybody, there was no pictures or something. It was simply what to search in Google to find this ring. My post was shut down in 24 hours because why? Should there not be awareness to parents that this evil shit is going on? Should I know? It made me sick. I made my wife look at the link, and we both were, sick. You know, I had to share it with my ex-wife's husband, to make sure that, since my daughter is back and forth into that household as well, that he is aware of this. And it's disgusting. Why would they take that down? I can only imagine, because it leads into some shit that's in that direction, and I don't know. Anyways, that and population control. Feel how you want about abortion and women's rights and all that other shit. There's just an awful lot of abortion, and it's just too easy, too accessible, and I personally think it's evil, and I think it's something that they absolutely promote, all of which are things that Trump is openly against, and that makes him, a misogynist, because he's apparently just looking out for the health and wellness of the innocent. Moving along, I believe that Trump knew about this throughout the entire Obama administration, and possibly earlier. I don't know how far it goes back. I think that George W. Bush was such a shitty president that it made it very easy for America to elect someone like Barack Obama, who, preached these promises of unity and hope and just all this soft bullshit, I mean, at least after 9/11, which I also believe was a bullshit inside job, at least the country came together in strength, and, it was like America, and bring it together, and everybody wanted to fight back, and they wanted to bring back that patriotism. But during the Obama administration, patriotism died. It no longer existed. Burning American flags in the streets, promoting the Muslim agenda, and nothing necessarily against Muslim, however, the radical Muslim agenda, okay? And I think that Barack Obama was the greatest terrorist in United States history. I mean, I think that he convinced an entire generation of people to hate themselves for simply being white. I mean, I talk to so many kids, like college students, early to mid 20s, that literally believe that they have white privilege, that hate themselves for being born the ethnicity that they are, and that's ignorant in itself. There's no reason to believe that you're a bad person because you were born a certain color. Yeah, that's racism in its finest. Is hating an individual, be it yourself, because of the color of your skin, regardless of the color of your skin. He convinced people to be weak. All right. I don't think that Obama is the head of this society, but I also do think that he was their primary head tool. I think that he was a tool put in place at a very specific time when our country was definitely at its weakest, within the idea that our government was the strongest. So that was a prime time to throw him in there. Well, over 8 years, the patriots, these strong people, they realized that this weakness isn't a good thing for us. So Trump was very open about choosing to not run for presidency in Obama's first term, and the reason he didn't do that because he said the timing wasn't right. Okay? Now, I think that being someone who refused this whole secret society proposal or requirement of wealth, he knows things, all right? And so he chose to wait and let Obama fuck up enough to where America came back and was like, we need a patriot in the president, or in the White House. We need this back. We need this strength back. And Trump and his loud ass Twitter and everything else let you know that he is not about any of this bullshit, and he wants to bring that back. So that's why he won the vote. Is because there is a quiet America that is revolutionary, that wants us to return. I don't think that we should go far radical right, but we've gone too far radical left. And I just want that pendulum somewhere back in the middle. And I think that's what's happening right now, is we're seeing the return of the middle. but it's not coming easily. Obama used the presidency to return back to the weakening of America. The promotion of homosexuality and the trans movement became more popular and more respected than the idea of being a strong, good, moral man. That in itself should show you something. Now, I'm not saying anything against the homosexual community or the trans community. I don't choose to be a part of it. I don't choose to be a supporting part of it. Okay? If an individual makes that choice, I do respect the fact that he has that freedom to do so. I don't think that he should have that freedom if that freedom is used to harm innocent. However, if that person decides to dress up and identify as a female, cool. I don't think that I should be under scrutiny if I accidentally say sir when I clearly see an Adam's apple and a wig. I'm probably going to address things as I see them. Leading to that, there is no accountability. I can't say that. I mean, like, let's call it accountability on some certain part. I'm approached by a trans person and they flirt with me, if that would even happen. And then I say, no, sir, I don't appreciate it. Now, the problem is that person immediately gets offended. Maybe not even because I said no, but more because I said sir. Okay? Like, it's not my place to accept your identity if it's taking effect on me. Okay? If I see you walking down the street as a trans person, there's no reason for me to bother you or acknowledge you or interact with you or anything like that if I choose to not agree with that. However, if you make it part of my social interaction in my small circle, then I am allowed to react how I choose. Now, if I choose to react in a violent manner or a hateful manner, that's awful. And that's not what I would do. But if I choose to recognize you as a man because biologically you're a man, that shouldn't be offensive. You should understand that you're a born man, and you shouldn't be mad at me for making a mistake in how I address you. In that point, there's no accountability, because now the majority of society has held your stronger fellow man as a bigot for making that mistake of just being a realist. And furthermore, we now call that toxic. To be a strong man, you're now a toxic male. What kind of narrative is that? It's the pussification of America. We are destroying the strength of the society of Americans. And that's not okay. Trump saw that, and Trump needed to make a change. So, awesome. That's why he got my vote. Is because he was a realist, and he came out with some real shit and didn't pitch a whole bunch of political crap. I don't think that this is an American issue only, okay? However, I do think that Trump's refusal to this society made him an enemy of the deep state. Now, I'm not saying just a deep state and the conspiracy theory idea of just the American side of it. I, like I said, believe it's part of this elitist society. But we'll go ahead and call that part of the deep state because it's the same thing to me. But it made him a direct enemy. I think this showed very specifically when we came to the election between him and Hillary Clinton. He was destroyed by the left, by the left-controlled media before he was even elected under so many different hateful narratives. Called him a racist, called him a misogynist, called him all kinds of things. Accused him with Stormy Daniels. Come on, what dude that is over 30 hasn't jerked off to Stormy Daniels? I mean, that chick is a pay-for-play girl, right? And let's say that President Trump, in his earlier years, did solicit a prostitute. I'm not saying it's okay. I'm not saying that I would. But in my earlier years, if Stormy Daniels had have proposed some sexual interaction with me, I more than likely would have said, okay, because that's human. It's sexuality. To hate him as a man for an accusation of rape or anything along those lines based on somebody who's lost their fame, trying to gain their fame back, and then proving that that was all a lie in the first place, that's just that's just ignorant. That's extremely ignorant. They try to call him a racist. He's done more for the black community than anything that ever happened in the Obama administration. Anything. He's done so much more. He's lifted it up 10 times higher. But the media, they go ahead and keep pushing this idea that that he's a racist. So the more feeble-minded people go ahead and just listen to the media because it's harder for them to think for themselves than it is to just listen to somebody else telling them. And since this somebody else has some fame and some money, then since they're on TV, then they must know everything and they must follow them. And it's just simply not in the evidence. You know, it's not racist. He's not a racist man. You know, he's a realist. He will call things out for what they are, and that's the end of it. The media calls him a racist. So some of the black community, some of the Hispanic community, some of the Middle Eastern community, all of them will follow that narrative, but a lot of them don't. And actually, by majority, they don't. So, it's easy for the media to just destroy Trump so badly. And obviously, when I say the media, I'm not just talking about CNN. I'm not talking about Fox News. I'm not talking about. I personally think that the elitists have control of both sides of the media, and they just pit each other against each other to cause chaos and to cause disruptance and to just to pit everybody against each other. Because what's happened in the last just even let's just say the 4 years, okay? It's built so much hate between the left and the right. Now, the left says that they just want equality and they just want all this peace, but they are acting out so violently in their opinions. The right is not the same. Now you have the far right, and of course it gets a little worse, but the media just ramps them up, and they start clashing. As to where now we've had several things of awful violence that are legitimately just a civil war. It's a civil war. We're on the brink of an actual civil war, but this is just a civil war. It's just the media pitting them against each other. And what would these elitists want to do to control the people? You just have to get them angry, because people in anger don't have a whole lot of control. I personally believe that he is this society's enemy in the name of righteousness and in the defense of our human rights and constitutional rights. I think that he came in at the right time with his own money and the ability to fund himself through an entire campaign and presidency to bring America to its knees, to wake them up. And he has been nothing but battered and smeared for the last 4 years. That's what billionaire would choose to worsen his life and reputation in his late years? You know, it's not like he has a lot of time left. He's not younger. What person would you? He was famous for so many things. He was in several movies. He was on TV. Just like Ronald Reagan. You know, like he was famous. He was loved by the masses before all this bullshit. And they took that love and switched it straight to hate. What billionaire do you know that would just openly pay for himself to become ultimately hated in the later years of his life? That wouldn't make any sense. I think he saw a problem and he saw evil and he chose to defy it. Right? When tyranny becomes law, public disobedience is necessary. Civil disobedience. And he chose to do it on a level that he was able to fund. He didn't need funding from anybody else. He didn't accept funding from anybody else. He's not like one of the politicians. He's a person that saw a problem, decided to come in and fix it. Well, he allowed himself to be destroyed in the process of fixing it. But he's resilient, so he's picking himself back up, and he never fell completely down. And now, where are we at? They try to use his relationship with Putin as grounds for impeachment. It's Russia. Everything's Russia. Everything, he's colluding with Russia. It's all this evil power. We've seen Russia as this negative thing in the media for so long. We haven't really had that many problems with Russia. If you really think about it, it's kind of been quiet. It hasn't been that big of a deal. It's just the media really throwing it out. I promise you that if we were having real issues with Russia, we would have soldiers coming back to the States and telling us about it. But you don't hear that at all, because we're still in the same fucking war we've been in for the last 20 years. So, why? Why are they so concerned with Russia? And here's where my ultimate opinion or theory or everything comes in. Edward Snowden. So we had Edward Snowden in the CIA and the NSA, and he managed to steal a lot of national secrets. And he has gone on to let some of them out. He has been one of the greatest patriots we've ever seen in this country. But he chose to only allow so much of that. And basically a lot of the falters that happened under the Patriot Act and how they were listening on us, he's informed a lot of us on how it is that our phones actually trace us to different places, and how you can turn your location services off and it's still easy to find you. It's just the way the system works and the way the information is put into these systems so that we are so trackable, and our habits are tracked, and everything. He's let us know a lot of it. But he hasn't been able to come back to the United States because he's not allowed to be given a fair trial under the label of a whistleblower, okay? But who controls who labels a whistleblower? And that's the person in power. So I personally think that Trump has Snowden in his back pocket. And I think that Snowden has all the secrets. I think that he has a flash drive hidden somewhere in the fucking cloud or wherever. He has it. And he has the real secrets and the real truths, names, dates, everything. I think he's got it all. And I think that Trump knows this. One of the reasons I think this is because not long ago, Edward Snowden did a video cast interview with Joe Rogan. It was about 2.5 hours, I think, maybe 3. I took a whole day off from work just to watch that. And when Joe Rogan asked him about his relationship with George W. Bush and Barack Obama and everything that he had found on them, he was very clear to let them know that they hated him and that they wanted him brought to justice. Their idea of justice wanted him brought down, okay? And you know as well as I do, as well as Jeffrey Epstein knows, that being brought to justice by these people means out. You're done, all right? So then when Joe Rogan asked him about his relationship or what it's been like since the Trump administration, Edward Snowden was very dismissive. He was like, it's been very quiet from the Trump administration. I haven't heard anything. There's been nothing. He completely dismissed the last 4 years of Trump's presidency. But in those 4 years, he's been in hiding in Russia. Okay? So you want to say that this man who's been hiding from the powers that be of the United States of America, hiding from them in Russia, all right, which is America's enemy, but is fully protected. But you have these elitists and all these awful people that want him deader than fucking dead because they know he's got the secrets. And Snowden's not dead. He's fine. And he's walking around the city. He's doing some things. And he has protection. He's completely protected. And by who, do you ask? I say Putin. I say that the Russian government is protecting Snowden. And I say it because I think that Putin was another one of these global leaders that told this elitist society to go fuck themselves. And maybe Putin isn't this evil man that the media keeps telling everybody is. And maybe he's a good man, right? So then think about that. We have a good man leading America and a good man leading Russia. These are giant world powers, okay? This would explain the entire relationship with Trump and Putin. It would also explain why the media tries to use that specific relationship as such a bad thing for the media to promote to the masses to take down Trump. All right? Because why? They hate both of them. Why would you have two global leaders over two of the largest countries, and they're cool. They're cool with each other, and they are working towards a mutual victory. Maybe Putin refused the society for the exact same reasons that Trump did. Maybe he's just a good dude. I don't think that you have to be a Christian to have morals. I'm not that person. I respect you for whatever religion or creed or lack of religion you have. But morality is a totally different thing. You have to have grounds of morality, or else you're not a good human being. If you can't act within a moral sense, you're not a good human. That's the end of it. These are two men that, whether you want to call them Christian or anything else, want to act on pure morality, and in the reality that there's a lot of evil going on, they want to stop it. Okay, so they're trying to destroy him. They're trying to impeach him. All right. Fortunately, Congress and all of that idiocracy just goes through, and then Senate stops it. Trump was wrongfully impeached, and there's no forgiveness. There's no he doesn't go through all that and get some reward for going through all that. He's just the guy still sacrificing himself to be in that position. So then we have a pandemic. Okay, this happens. We're in the year of the election, and whereas all of the focus is on that. Now everybody wants to turn it to toilet paper, and then masks, and everything else. This is not a serious sickness to me. I don't think it. I'm not saying it's not to some people. I don't think it's a fake sickness. I just don't think that it's anything like the media has made it out to be. And I've been very clear about that. If you know me or around me, I'm fucking loud. I'm not like outspoken loud or volume loud. But I do definitely speak my opinion. I rarely shut up. But I don't believe this is anything more than an excuse for the media to just blow up fear. Just fear. And the thing is the feeble-minded, which is the majority of the society, is happy to be afraid. They're happy to be controlled because it's harder for them to come to conclusions by themselves. It's easier for somebody to just tell them. So, amidst this pandemic, as hardworking Americans are put out of work, are losing everything they have, and are forced to be on government assistance, which controls the socialist narrative, we see the economy completely collapse. What's the number one thing Trump has done through his administration? He brought us to the greatest point of American economy in our history, period. All right? So what do? They use something to destroy it. They destroy his number one accomplishment. Why? Because they don't care about you. They don't care about you, your families, your well-being. They don't care about the children. They don't care about the elderly. They don't care about any one of those things. They don't care about your success. They don't want you to flourish. Because the more you flourish, the less control they have. So what do? They use something to destroy the economy. Yesterday was 39 million Americans applied for unemployment. It's awful. 39 million people not able to go to work. I won't even get into what I think America should have done, because we should have just never stopped going to work. Everybody should have just said no, and we would have just continued on, because they don't have the power to actually stop us. So I think that now they have destroyed America, and not just America, but I'm speaking as an American from an American standpoint, that they have destroyed the economy of America. They've destroyed patriotism. Finally, Trump announces Obamagate. And Obamagate, he doesn't seem to want to say he's actually pushing charges for or against Barack Obama. And why not? His response has been, you already know. They say, what are you actually accusing him of doing? He goes, you already know. And because the fucking truth is you do already know. All right? It's pretty fucking obvious. But most people aren't aware enough to really look at it from that stance. But he's starting an investigation months before the actual election. And he's had to play their game. They've destroyed everything good he's done. And so now, to stay in office for the following 4 years and to repair all of this for America, he needs to be in office. So he's got Snowden in his back pocket. And I think that this investigation is a good, solid sign that the proof is coming. I don't see a man like Donald Trump starting something as large as Obamagate and not having the proof to back it up. And we know of one American patriot that has that proof, and that's Edward Snowden, who is protected hiding in Russia. I say President Trump, presidential pardons Edward Snowden, brings him back, allows him the kind of trial that he actually deserves, not the kind of trial where he has to be silent the whole time, where he gets to speak on everything that he knows, has seen, and the reason why he decided to remove that information. And it's because it was to harm the American people. And then Snowden gets all of his freedom back. He becomes one of the greatest patriots in United States history in the textbooks. And Trump helped bring this to light. Trump brings all of the truth, the health, the wealth, the economic structure, and everything back to Americans at the end of this. I think that in the coming months, we're going to learn a lot of really awful shit. I think that Trump's the guy that will actually voice all of it. I think that we're going to learn everything about the leftist agenda. And I think that we're going to learn everything about all this evil society that I think exists. That's really the end of my theory. I feel like before 2021, a lot of you are going to be able to go, Ronnie, you're a fucking idiot. And if so, I'll be like, you know what? I'll give you that. You were right. But I don't personally think that's going to happen. I think that a lot of you are going to go like, holy shit, that dude wasn't so far off. And I hope that you take that as an opportunity to just open your eyes, see what's going on, because the shit's ridiculous. Anyways, Trump 2020, Trump train. Later.